Have you ever stood in the darkness, not the darkness of the night, but the deep shadows within your soul, where the toxic whispers of someone else echo, making you doubt yourself? The narcissist entered your life like a raging storm, sweeping away your joy, your confidence, and sometimes even the most precious years of your life. They made you believe you were the one who needed fixing, that your light only had value when it served them. But today I want you to hear this. The darkness is not your destiny. We don't choose the storms that come into our lives, but we can choose how we face them. The narcissist, whether a partner, a colleague, or even a family member, wants you to believe they hold the power, that they control your story. But I'm here to tell you, they are not stronger than you. They are slaves to their own emptiness, while you are the unshakable mountain, standing firm against the storm. This is a journey through the darkness, not for revenge, but to reclaim the fortress of your spirit that was taken from you. Picture this. You're in a deep cave, a flickering torch in your hand. They are there, demanding your light, insisting that you hand it over. But today, you will hold on to that torch. You will walk forward, and you will leave them behind in their own darkness. Because, as the philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. They are the outside events. But you are the one who decides. If you're ready for this journey, subscribe now. Together we will light the way out of the darkness. Look your enemy in the eye, not with fear or rage, but with the cold stillness of someone who has seen the true nature of the storm. A narcissist is not a normal person like you or me. They are a phenomenon, a toxic wind that sweeps through your life with silent destruction. They bring no warmth, no real connection, only chaos. The promises they made in the beginning vanish like smoke, leaving you with emptiness and unanswered questions. They do not love you, no matter how sweet their words may sound. Understand this, their love is not for you, it is for themselves. They crave the reflection of their inflated ego in your suffering, in your attention, in the moments when you break just to lift them up. They do not see you as a person, you are merely a mirror, and the moment you stop reflecting them, they discard you like a useless object. You once believed you could change them, didn't you? We often carry this deep conviction that love, patience, or sacrifice can fix anything. So you tried harder, staying up late thinking, giving more of your time, sacrificing your own dreams to satisfy their endless hunger. You thought that if you just loved them enough, if you just gave a little more, they would finally see your worth, finally respond with sincerity. But the cold, razor-sharp truth is this: they cannot change. Not because you are lacking, not because you are not good enough, but because they are imprisoned within their own minds. They are slaves to their desperate need for validation, trapped inside an ego that can never be satisfied. This is not your failure, this is their fate, a never-ending cycle of destruction that they create and pull you into. You did not fail to save them, they failed by rejecting the light you brought. Think of James, a man I once knew. A story that may not be unfamiliar to many of us. James was a hard-working man, someone who believed that his dedication would be rewarded. He worked tirelessly to please a narcissistic boss, a man who, at first, praised him with flattery, only to turn those same words into daggers of relentless criticism when James could no longer meet his impossible expectation. At home, his ex-wife was no different, demanding constant attention, calling at all hours, making unreasonable requests, yet never returning even an ounce of kindness or gratitude. James was exhausted, his body worn down, his mind torn apart by the question, am I the problem? Am I not good enough? He lived in that darkness for years, blaming himself for flaws he never truly had, until one day a spark of light flickered, not from the outside, but from within. He realized, they are not worth my fear. They are not worth my sacrifice. They survive on validation like a parasite clinging to a tree, draining its life while never standing on its own. James decided he would no longer be that tree. He was the mountain, and no wind could shake him if he chose to stand firm. As the great Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, We suffer not from events, but from our judgment about them. The narcissist wants you to see yourself through the lens they created, a warped mirror where you are weak, where you need them to feel complete, to feel worthy. They want you to believe you cannot live without them, that your light only has value when it serves them. But that is an illusion, a trick of the mind that you can break. They are not the sun, they are the darkness, and no matter how deep the darkness may seem, it can never touch the mountain that is you, unless you allow it to seep into your soul. Life has taught you that true strength is not in changing others, but in controlling how you see them. A narcissist is not an enemy you need to defeat with fists or tears. They are just the wind, and you are the immovable rock. The moment you understand this, they lose the only power they ever had, the power you unknowingly gave them. Now, face the darkness, not with trembling hands or burning rage, but with the unwavering steadiness of a soul that has seen the truth. You do not need to fight the narcissist. That is the mistake so many have made before you, and I know you've thought about it too. Fighting will only exhaust you, like a warrior swinging a sword at the mist, while they stand there smiling, amused by your despair. Every blow you strike does not weaken them, it weakens you, because they feed off the very energy you expend. Instead of engaging in a battle you cannot win, choose a different path. Let go. But do not misunderstand. This is not giving up on yourself, not bowing in defeat. This is walking away from the game they have set, abandoning the role they forced upon you, the role of the obedient, the fuel for their insatiable ego. We call it no contact, but that term only scratches the surface of something far deeper. It is not merely cutting off empty words or ignoring their persistent messages. That is just the first step, like trimming dead branches. The real work lies in severing the invisible cord, the one they have so carefully wrapped around your mind and heart, using it to drain your life force day after day. Block their number, not because you fear their call, but because you no longer need to hear their voice. Remove them from your social media, not to hide, but to declare that your world no longer has space for their presence. And, most importantly, erase them from your mind, not through forced forgetting, but by treating the memories of them as nothing more than a nightmare that has passed, a story that no longer has the power to wake you in the night. This is not an act of weakness. This is the declaration of a liberated soul. Picture this. You stand in a deep, dark cave, a flickering torch in your hand, a small yet defiant flame, the symbol of your life force and your will. They are there in front of you, screaming for your light, reaching for it, demanding that you give it to them. You have handed it over before, not once but 100 times, hoping, foolishly, that they would use it to lead you out of the darkness, that they would walk with you to a better place. But now you see the truth. They do not know the way, and they never intended to lead you anywhere. They only wanted your fire to warm their cold, empty soul, to burn bright for their own glory, while you slowly faded into nothing. And so, when you withdraw your light, when you turn away and keep the torch for yourself, they panic, not because they miss you, no matter what manipulative words they might say in their final attempts to pull you back. They panic because they have lost control, lost the fuel they relied on to feel their own existence. But their panic is no longer your concern. It never was. As Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "There is nothing evil in enduring suffering, only in letting it master you." They made you endure. Their cruel words, their indifference, the countless times they made you question your own worth. But that was never the true harm. Life is filled with trials like these. The true harm is in letting them rule your mind, in allowing their poison to define you. Do not let them rule anymore. Rise, not by screaming at them, not by trying to make them understand, but by walking away in silence. Your silence is not surrender. It is the quiet roar of a soul that has found its true strength. Do this today, right now. Take a piece of paper and write down the pain they caused. No need for poetic words, no need for perfection, only honesty. Write down the moments they wounded you, the words that cut deep, the times they made you feel small. But Do not write it to send to them. They are not worthy of a single second more of your attention. Write it to release it from yourself, to lay down the burden you have carried for too long. Then let it disappear. Tear the paper into pieces, burn it if you must, or simply throw it away. They do not need to read it because your healing does not depend on their acknowledgement. You do not need their validation to know that you deserve to live in the light. Darkness only reaches as far as you allow it, and with every step forward you push it further away, choosing to leave the cave behind, carrying only your own flame. When you walk away from the narcissist, when you cut the cord they use to bind you, what happens next? You do not run. You do not curl up in a dark corner, trembling with fear or regret. Running is what they want you to do because it proves they still have control, that their shadow still looms over you, but you do not give them that satisfaction. Instead, you rebuild, not to prove anything to them, but to declare that you are the master of your own life. The narcissist wants you to believe you need them to survive, that without them, you will wither like a tree without water. This is their greatest illusion, the most cunning lie they weave, a trap spun from manipulation and deceit. But now you see the truth. They are a crumbling wall, fragile and meaningless, not worth your effort to repair. Instead of wasting your strength trying to patch their cracks, use those hands to build your own fortress. A sanctuary that no one can invade, a place where your soul is free and untouchable. Start with stillness, not the silence of surrender, but the stillness of a warrior standing firm on a battlefield that has gone quiet. Sit with yourself each day, even if only for 10 minutes, not to escape the memories or suppress the pain, but to face them, to look them in the eye without flinching. This is not a time for daydreaming or avoidance. This is a time to sharpen your mind, like a blacksmith forging steel in fire. Ask yourself, as a true Stoic would, what is within my control today? Maybe it's a task you've put off for too long, buried beneath their constant criticism. Maybe it's a passion you once loved but abandoned because you spent too much time trying to please them. Or maybe it's something as simple as stepping outside, lifting your head and breathing in the air of freedom, no longer suffocated by their presence. If you are still here, still walking this path with me, and if this journey resonates with you, drop a 1 in the comments. I want to know that you are standing with me, that your fire still burns. You were once a dim light, overshadowed by the narcissist's arrogant darkness. But now you are a beacon, not just shining, but unyielding, standing tall against the raging storm. A silent testament to strength no one can extinguish. Remember this and carve it into your soul. The narcissist is not stronger than you, no matter how desperately they try to convince you otherwise with their grandiose words and overbearing actions. The truth is, they are weaker than you ever imagined. They are so weak that they cannot exist without you or someone else to uphold their fragile ego. They need you to feel whole, crave your attention like a starving man craves bread. But you do not need them. You do not need their validation. You do not need the apologies they will never give. When you stand firm in your stillness, when you refuse to play their game, they become nothing more than the wind against the mountain that is you. The wind may howl, may rage, may try to shake you, but it cannot move the rock that has chosen to stand still. This is not revenge. Revenge is the game of small souls, of those still tangled in their web. This is victory, a quiet, resounding triumph, won by living in your truth and choosing yourself over them. Life is not about pleasing others. That is a lesson the narcissist will never understand. But you can. They live to be seen, to be worshipped. But you do not need false glory. You build your inner fortress not to show off, but to protect what is most sacred. Your peace. Every brick you lay, every moment spent on yourself, every decision made without their approval is a declaration you are enough. You have always been enough. The narcissist wanted you to believe your light only had value when it illuminated them. But now you know the truth. That light is yours, and you will use it to guide yourself. Not them, not anyone else, but you. What is true victory? Pause and reflect. not with haste, not with emotion, but with the stillness that allows truth to reveal itself. It is not the moment you see the narcissist kneel before you, tears streaming down their face, begging for your forgiveness. That is the empty fantasy of the weak, of those still trapped in the cycle of resentment and the desperate need for validation. But that is not you, not anymore, not now, when you have stepped beyond the darkness and can see the light ahead. True victory is the quiet but powerful act of rising from the ashes they left behind, walking your own path and never looking back. Not because you fear seeing them, but because you no longer need to look. They are no longer the center of your story. Life is too precious to waste on those who will never change, those who are imprisoned by their own arrogance and emptiness. You have seen this, and you have chosen a different path, the path of freedom. Forgiveness, do not misunderstand this word as a noble act you do for them. Forgiveness is not a gift you place in the narcissist's hands, as if they deserve your compassion after everything they have done. No, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, an act of release, a sharp cut that severs the final thread binding you to the pain they caused. You were not wrong for loving, for believing in goodness, for opening your heart with the hope that they could be part of that light. That is your nature, a soul that dares to hope, dares to give. Your only mistake, if it can even be called one, was believing they were worthy of the fire you carried within you. You once offered it to them, hoping they would cherish and nurture it, but they only used it to burn brighter for themselves, leaving you with scars you never deserved. But now you understand, that light was never theirs. Forgiveness is not erasing what they did, it is refusing to let their actions continue to define you. You take back control not by making them kneel, but by standing up and walking away. They are the rain, a natural phenomenon, unconscious, without malice, but also without purpose, beyond falling and wetting everything in its path. You do not need to hate the rain for falling. You do not need to stand in the storm and curse it. You simply step into the shelter you have built for yourself, a place crafted from resilience and understanding, a place where the sound of the rain no longer unsettles you. The narcissist is the same. They will remain trapped in their own darkness, in an endless cycle of craving attention, validation, and something to fill the emptiness they can never fill themselves. They seek the light of others because they have none of their own. But you are different. You have escaped the cycle, not by pulling them out of it, but by refusing to be pulled back in. You do not need them to regret, to understand, to acknowledge what they did. Those things would not change anything, and they are beyond your control. What is in your control is your peace, and that peace is the strongest proof that they have lost. Not in a loud, dramatic battle, but in the absolute silence of a soul they can no longer reach. Darkness is not the true enemy. Understand this deeply. The darkness the narcissist brought was only a smokescreen, an illusion inflated by their words and actions. The real enemy was never them. The real enemy was your own weakness against that illusion. The moment you let it seep into your mind, making you doubt your worth, making you believe you needed them to find the way out. But now you see clearly, you never needed them to find the light, because the light has always been within you. When you stand firm in the midst of their storm without trembling, when you choose stillness over chaos, you become the flame they can never extinguish. They may scream, they may reach for you, trying to pull you back, but they can no longer touch you. Not because you have built a wall too high, but because you have learned to stand beyond the reach of darkness itself. This is your victory, not loud, not boastful, but profound and everlasting. The journey through darkness is not about defeating the narcissist. This is not a battlefield you need to step into, because they have already imprisoned themselves in their own failure. This journey is about defeating the fear within you, about breaking the invisible chains they once used to bind your mind. They lose control the moment you realize that you do not need them to feel complete. The true wholeness comes from within, not from their hollow validation or toxic presence. Life is not about what others think of you. That is the game the narcissist plays. but it is not your game. Life is about what you think of yourself, about the fire you keep burning despite the cold winds they have tried to blow your way. You are not alone on this path. Remember that. Thousands of others have walked through the same darkness, faced the same storms, and they stand strong just as you do now. With every step you take, with every decision to choose yourself, you lay another brick in the fortress we all share, a place where resilient souls meet, not to surrender, but to affirm the power of endurance. I want to hear your story. What darkness have you overcome in your life? Share it in the comments, not to boast, but to light the torch for others, to show them that light has always existed, even in the darkest of moments. Join our community. The link is in the description of this video. This is where we build calm within the storm, where you will not only find support, but also become a source of strength for others. This is not just an invitation. This is a call to step into a space where inner power is forged, where the narcissist's darkness holds no power against the collective will of those who have chosen the light. The narcissist believes they are eternal darkness, an unshakable force. But they are wrong. You are the dawn. You are the first light that shatters the night, the flame that cannot be extinguished. Nothing stops the sun from rising. Nothing stops you from shining once you decide to rise. Keep your fire burning, not to illuminate them, but to light your own path. I will meet you again in the next light, not as an audience, but as a fellow warrior on this endless journey.